Crypto market as a whole is not moving much, but a few are slowly grinding higher. Some of them are showing upside and trying to break higher through the level of resistance, and there is a set of reason for that, right? The world is focusing on this football World Cup, and the news media attention is moving in that side. So you do see that particular asset has a lot of different patterns evolving, all of which has different probabilities of upside. But if you are zoomed in, you are looking at this, you kind of get the picture where we are going with that asset. You have the measured moves to the upside, but what you have to look at is the Bitcoin, which is the general market. So on a weekly, we broke to the downside, we did not get a retest. Whereas on a short-term chart, which is a 12-hour chart, we broke below, we bounced, we retested. So now we need to actually see whether the market is controlled by the macro big guys, or right now it's in the hands of short-term trading, high-frequency trading bots, algorithms, whatever we call it. So we need to right now observe how different assets are doing, right? Say, if we look at assets like HBAR, which actually is a strong fundamental asset, it is right now dropping, breaking through its asset pattern, right? We need to actually look what is the possibility. But mainly for us, it is about XRP. What does this actually mean? And what does the RSI suggest us? Can we go lower? And if so, how much? And if we get a bounce, where are we going to get resisted? These are going to be different questions we're going to answer, along with looking at different assets where we think there is going to be a little bit more blood. Now, this is short-term market. We don't know how it's going to evolve, but the possibilities are high on that side. And as the Ripple Swell is going clear, great and all, we are literally going to look at how things are evolving on that front. Because it's not just XRP, it's about the governments, it's about central bank digital currencies, it's about how money is going to be moved. So we're going to actually get through this, break them down to get clear perspective about what we are looking for the near future. Now that's just 30 seconds, but the information which we are getting is from real utility. They are just giving you the highlight initially here. The point was being delivered directly towards XRP as designed for business to business use case. And right now, that's slowly maturing, right? So as you go through this entire event, what we learn from this is there is a big momentum towards XRP Ledger, which is on-demand liquidity platform being connected with this, right? So when they talk about the Bank of America, they are literally not giving you everything out clearly, but it is kind of that hype, kind of that speculation, which now ends up being materialized while watching MasterCard and Bank of America executives there and talk about how they are looking at this. Once this case is solved, the SEC case is closed, they are looking for this technology to mature in the payment space, which is actually a big news. But the issue is, right now, XRP is not reacting to most of these news. Otherwise, we have just seen a lot of announcement from Ripple showing how on-demand liquidity is performing, right? This is like, real life utility. So when people like this come out and actually ask questions, like it's really hard to even think like what they are really trying to put out. Say the question which they are asking, like this is actually a guy with a lot of followers, right? 1.8 million followers. And for me, it seems like, okay, this guy is actually a Bitcoin maximalist. Fine. But if you look at this, the question is, if XRP is so decentralized, how come central banks and governments like it to bring their central bank digital currency? Just look at the response from Matt here. They don't like XRP as their CBDC. That's the thought process. They want to issue their own CBDC on XRP Ledger. So these guys don't actually understand that, but at least we do. Now, why is that important? Now, that is actually a big story. That is actually super important. Why is that? Because of the scalability. A lot of different governments, central banks went through central bank digital currency pilots using Ether, and they are now coming out and saying this is not the final product. This is not scalable. The gas fee here, I just saw one today and I was like surprised. Someone just paid a gas fee of 93 Ether. Okay, that's for a single transaction. And that's where the technology like this solves real life problem. And that is the only reason why you see institutions. Now, these are not individuals, these are institutions which process hundreds of thousands of transactions. Great. Why are they entering here? Because right now they enter into on-demand liquidity because they have 40 markets open on-demand liquidity. This is not a talk about Ripple Net. This is the talk about ODL via Ripple Net. So that is actually big. The money is being moved using XRP, which actually goes back to the point like real world use case, the real world utility. So these guys will have a real hard time understanding that because this is the fact. Now, shout out to Stedas for posting this here. That's the reality. And they really don't want to accommodate that. Now, it's hard for them to digest that properly because it's not going to end well. Now, here in this market, we see a lot of different assets. That's for sure. A lot of them are competing in the same payment space. A headrest, one of them, which is actually a great asset. But right now, if you are looking at the market, the price is dropping, it just broke through a pattern. Now, I got several requests about this. That's why I'm actually trying to give you guys what I think about this. Last time when the price broke to the upside from a pattern, you got the resistance there. This line acted as a strong resistance and rejected the price to the downside. Right now, you get the price breaking to the downside. So it's just opposite to that. And you have a little bit more room to the downside to reach this trend line support. But at the same time, you do have a horizontal supply and resistance range where, it's clearly support resistance range where a lot of supply and demand is working out. That's why you are seeing the price move like this. So you can literally go on a daily chart, 3-day chart and see how price is reacting. It's trying to actually put in a double bottom, but until you get a break through this level, 0.05, it's not clear. You may even make a triple bottom or even break lower. So you should be cautious in this market. It's completely irrational. You see a lot of meme coins starting to break back up, which is actually a good scenario. But we do have to understand different narratives are playing out in the market, and these narratives are pushing the price up right now. You can go here, you can look at like which coins are doing well, and you see Trust Wallet token, Chili's, they are doing well at the top. Why is that? The reason for those, we know one, World Cup, the other one, people don't want to hold the assets on different exchanges. They're trying to move it out to different wallets, Atomic Wallet, Ledger, Trust Wallet, different areas. And all of these are slowly getting volume. And that's what is really important to observe. When you are looking at a lot of different assets here, if you see volume like this, now this is right now 130 million, whereas it went up to 500 million. Right now, that volume is here in Chili's, where it shows you like 400 million. Now, yes, when you compare this with XRP, that's actually nothing. It used to be like 2.5 billion, but right now it's like 700 million. And this is the key thing for all of you to understand. This is without the entire US. A lot of people who bought in are stuck in different exchanges. They don't have access to put more money in. They can't trade it. So you're not getting more volume from that side. This is except US. Now, one thing is for sure, big institutions do look for clarity from the regulations. And that's why we are being really slow on this one, right? So when you are looking at what's happening right now in this market, yes, there is a lot of different things evolving, but it's also clear that individuals like this won't come in these events and talk about future and adoption unless they are sure about this. Right now, with what's happening with FTX and that kind of drama, it's for sure they'll try to keep their distance, but here they're not doing that. One is MasterCard, which process, tons of payments on a regular basis, daily basis, right? And then it's Bank of America. So you actually get people talking about payments and they are here with Ripple. And that's for a reason. And that's one of the things which we actually see these guys are getting irritated by. Because when they talk about the central bank digital currency coming onto this one, and then you get this one, it's really going to hurt those guys. But for us who are inside an asset which we know that has a ton of utility, the question is, do we have the level of patience to go through this? Look at the RSI here. It actually shows you like we went through this drama. We got rejected a lot of time. We broke higher. If you look at this area, you broke higher. You kind of retested, you went up. You came back, retested, and then bounced. So that's actually a great positive thing to actually observe. But right now, if you remove that, you see like, okay, yes, we did have a resistance trend line, which we broke higher. Fine. And right now, what's more important is, yes, this is there. You broke that one. Fine. You're retesting. That's all good. Great. But at the same time, we also need to understand this scenario. You're breaking to the downside here. Unless you get back up, there is still a possibility that the price may go visit the bottom section. And the bottom section here, for example, right now is 0.33, which happens to be in a long term. Now that's important, a long term support resistance zone where we see a lot of supply and demand playing out. Fine. But what a lot of people are interested right now is not the macro price action scenario. If we literally are looking at short-term price action, what we are going to see is the price is turning a little bit negative. Now, we have not broken to the downside yet, but we are trying to do that. On a short-term scale, this is what you observe. And if that breaks, you are now looking for 0.37. Now, that's not a huge fluctuation. Why? Because that's on an hourly chart. So when you are here on a 4-hour chart, this is something to look at. The 20-day moving average crossed to the upside, but usually pushes the price to the downside. So on a 4-hour short term, you do see downside. Whereas when you go on a daily, weekly, 3-day, whatever you want to look at, you are observing the opposite. The moving average crossed to the downside, so you have a pending rally to the upside to test that moving average zone, which we are still waiting. Remember, when we were in this range for like months, we talked about how we are going to go test 0.5, 0.55, 0.6 range. But yeah, we didn't reach 0.6. We failed by 0.55. But we did that. We went up. Similarly, when majority of the assets are breaking to the downside, here this one is holding. Now, this is really important for you to look at. Say, for example, Algorand. It's a fundamental asset as I consider. It's a strong asset in terms of fundamentals. So if you are looking at the same time frame, you will see two different things. One, it's holding this support range from some time. It did a drop here and now it's slowly getting back up. Now, if you go to the theory which we are talking about from some time, look at how the moving average crossed to the upside and then the price came to the downside. Right? So if that's logical for you, then most likely you are now, if you're like, normal guy, you're going to go look at this. Okay, macro, we crossed to the downside here. We got a small rally. Then we continued to the downside where we made a bottom. Now we are trying to get back above it on the macro, which actually suggests you that yes, there is a lot of selling momentum. They push the price to the downside, but buyers are becoming strong. One. Second thing is a trend, is a pattern which we are observing. There is a trend line which you can observe. You broke that one, you retested that, you did not go below that. There are some assets which did that, which is actually bad. Now we are seeing there is going to be a big bounce. Now, if you're going to look at Matic, there is big news, positive, great stuff's happening, and the price is slowly going down. What really is happening there? You need to actually understand that. The macro narrative is like this. You have already done this massive rally here and then this sky-high rally. So in general, if you're looking from the bottom, it has already done 1000x. So you can't really expect that to do another 100x, which, is somewhere in the moon. So we're not talking about that one. Instead, you can actually see in the market right now, you will observe certain group of assets which are showing you pattern like this and similar time horizon. It moved up like this and it consolidated like this for like 500, 600 days. So if you take the last move here, it's like 595 days. So you right now in this market has assets following the same structure. Now, the only reason why I'm not putting that one up here in a chart is because we are in a trade. We are in trade. So once we hit our targets, or at least medium-term targets, I'll actually bring that up here. How we find opportunities, and some of them literally take ages to materialize. Because if you are using a 50x leverage, 100x leverage, yeah, great. The 30% gain, which I normally take in a small trade without leverage, or the 100% which we take out, as we show here, if you're putting 50x, that's huge. That's 50x instead of 1x. But the level of risk you're taking there, it's also huge. So if you have that level of risk appetite, you can do that. But most of us are not here for a Lambo, or at least I'm not. We are here for the family. We are here to build something strategically, right? So that's why we are in an asset mainly which has strong fundamentals, and we are trying to see how long it's actually going to take the market to understand that. The market can be rational longer than you can stay liquid. That's the hardest part which we all see. And that's one of the reasons why we always talk about liquidity, working more time, bringing in new money, keeping that as emergency funds, then investment money, all those things, right? And that's one of the reasons why we actually went on further and started a new channel here. And we are trying to talk about that same idea. How you can actually build something which lasts for next decades to come. And if you're interested in that one, you can actually go visit just 5 minutes, listen to that, and inform what do you really think there. And if you're receiving value for your time here in this channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. That supports the channel a lot. And I'll meet you guys on the next video. Stay tuned. Until then, bye.